Hello, and welcome to Overlooked Headlines. We're the podcast designed to share headlines from America and around the world that have been disregarded or overlooked, but are critical to our lives and well-being. It's our mission to inform with the headlines and then inspire through biblical words, which we call His Lines, that once heard and applied will help to strengthen our faith in God as we navigate this journey called life. Now, here's the host of Overlooked Headlines, Jeff Bass.
Hello, and let me welcome you all to another episode of Overlooked Headlines. I'm Jeff Bass. As always, I thank you for all your support of this podcast. Stay connected with us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. Follow us on Instagram, leave your comments, and please share. By the way, if you like the content we provide, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link on the Overlooked Headlines Instagram profile. We'd appreciate it. Here's our headline breakdown. New study finds butterflies are disappearing from the U.S. Gen Z favors traditional views on marriage. U.S. Navy debuts new weapon that prevents people from talking. And we close, as always, with his lines. Here's our first headline. New study finds butterflies are disappearing from the United States at a catastrophic rate. A new study found that butterflies are disappearing from the United States at an alarming rate, with most species showing significant population decline in recent years. The study, published in the journal Science, examined butterfly populations in the United States across the 21st century and found that the total number of butterflies decreased by 22% between 2000 and 2020. Losing one out of every 5 butterflies over 20 years should be a big wake-up call to people, said one of the study's co-authors, Dr. Eliza Grames, who is also an assistant professor of biological sciences at Binghamton University. Quote, "These declines are not stopping. The study specifically analyzed butterfly populations in the lower 48 states of the U.S. and found that the populations had been decreasing by an average of 1.3% every year. Although 9 species of butterflies saw an increase in population, 114 saw significant decreases. Some species, like the iconic monarch butterfly, may soon be placed on the threatened species list as their populations dwindle. Monarch butterflies had an estimated population of 1.2 million in 1997. Last month, an annual survey counted an all-time low of only 10,000. David Wagner, an entomologist at the University of Connecticut, who was unrelated to the study, shared the researchers' fears about the ever-shrinking bug population. In just 30 or 40 years, we're talking about losing half the butterflies and other insect life over a continent, he said. Wagner also said in an email to CNN, the researchers said that multiple factors contribute to the population issues, like shrinking habitats, rising temperatures, and the abundance of pesticides. They also warned that the decrease in butterfly population isn't just an aesthetic issue, but could greatly affect the pollination cycle that keeps the country's crops thriving. And now, here's our second headline. Gen Z favors traditional views on marriage. According to the Times Generation Z study, only a fifth of 18 to 27-year-olds believed that marriage was irrelevant, while a third thought it better for a couple to be married before having children. Additionally, the research showed that young adults today were more in favor of marriage than young adults 20 years ago, when almost twice the proportion, 39%, thought marriage to be irrelevant. And it's not just marriage that Gen Zers view differently, but sex as well. In 2004, 78% of millennial respondents considered one-night stands or casual sex outside of marriage to be common practice for the people in their lives. Now, only 23% feel this way. Even the use of pornography seemed to be slightly less of a factor, with 58% of respondents stating people in their circles viewed it commonly, while only 40% said the same today. Even a third of Gen Zers felt couples should get married before having kids. However, researchers believe this worldwide view is not necessarily driven by a desire for romance and companionship so much as it's stemming from a pursuit of economic survival. Concerning the results, generational expert and HR consultant Brian Driscoll told Newsweek that the quote shift toward marriage in particular wasn't surprising. Beyond romance, he added, Gen Z has grown up watching millennials experience skyrocketing housing costs, stagnant wages, student debt traps, and a work culture that treats burnout and overwork like an admirable personality trait. Gen Z sees that, and instead of rejecting traditional relationships outright, they're looking for stability in an economy that offers them none. Driscoll believes that young people today see marriage as a strategy to getting better, access to health care, housing, and even basic financial security. Yet, despite the more conservative views Gen Z seems to have on marriage, other research finds that there has been an overall decline in the number of people getting married over the last 3 decades among rural women aged 15 to 44. According to the Washington Post, between 1988 and 2018, the proportion of rural women who were married fell from 55% to 33%. At least among rural women, the Post concluded that lower rates of marriage appear directly linked to lower education levels and lower income. Southern Baptist Theological Seminary President Albert Mohler addressed these findings. He said, we're looking at the very essence of human civilization by God's own design. We are looking at a long-term crisis that is not unique to rural America, but is present throughout America of declining marriage rates. Whether it is concerning the women in the Post research or the Gen Z study from the Times, Mohler acknowledged that there are many factors likely at play. Also, Mohler stated, the family is the greatest engine for turning out successful adults. Ultimately, the intact family, through healthy marriages that produce children, also turns out to produce people who want to conserve the intact family. Stay where you are. I've got more overlooked headlines.
Still to come, our top headline. And don't miss his lines right here on Overlooked Headlines.
Now, here's our top headline. U.S. Navy debuts new weapon that prevents people from talking. The U.S. Navy has successfully invented a special electronic device that is designed to stop people from talking. A form of non-lethal weapon, the new electronic device effectively repeats a speaker's own voice back at them, and only them, while they attempt to talk. It was developed and patented back in 2019, but has only recently been discovered according to a report by the New Scientist. The main idea of the weapon is to disorientate a target so much that they will be unable to communicate effectively with other people. Called acoustic hailing and disruption, known as AHAD, the weapon is able to record speech and instantly broadcast it at a target in milliseconds. Much like an annoying sibling, this action will disrupt the target's concentration and, in theory, discourage them from continuing to speak. It is important to note that the device is unlikely to be used on the battlefield anytime soon, and will probably be used as a form of crowd control. AHAD has been developed by engineers at the Naval Surface Warfare Crane Division, a Navy research and development facility in Indiana that develops handheld and crew-served weapons for the service. As for the technical details of the device, a quick review of its patent is very interesting indeed. According to an illustrative embodiment of the present disclosure, a target's speech is directed back to them twice, once immediately and once after a short delay. This delay creates delayed auditory feedback known as DAF, which alters the speaker's normal perception of their own voice. In normal speech, a speaker hears their own words with a slight delay, and the body is accustomed to this feedback. However, by introducing another audio feedback source with a sufficiently long delay, the speaker's concentration is disrupted, and it becomes difficult to continue speaking. AHAD works by using a series of directional microphones and speakers that can target a speaker's voice. The speech is then recorded and transmitted back in the same direction. Interestingly, the broadcasted sound is on a narrow beam and will only be heard by the speaker. This will not only confuse the target, but ultimately prevent them from being able to concentrate and stop talking. The behavior of the target will be noticeably altered by the action, likely also confusing anyone who was listening to the targeted person. Put another way, such a weapon will make you think you're going crazy. So too, the people around you. Such a technique will likely be most effective when the repeating speech is a syllable or two behind the real-time speech of the target speaker. You can think about how distracting this would be if you've ever experienced an echo of your voice on a phone call. It is also important to note that devices like AHAD could have other applications too. For example, it could be used as a form of electronic hailing device between ships. More intriguingly, as the patent alludes to, by aiming AHAD systems at a wall or corner, AHAD systems can also project sound to the target surface such that audio appears to originate from the target. AHAD now joins the tanks of other non-lethal weapons currently fielded by U.S. armed forces, like, for example, the non-lethal long-range acoustic device. This sonic weapon is able to focus sonic waves at high decibel levels at a target, leading to the target suffering from migraines, ringing of the ears, or mild pain and discomfort. How the U.S. Armed Forces will deploy and use AHAD is yet to be seen, but is guaranteed to annoy enemy combatants or domestic malcontents. Man, this is incredible. Hey, what's your thoughts on this new Navy weapon that could possibly stop you from talking? Let us know. Leave us a comment. Don't move. His lines are coming up.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode, then we'll think you'll love connecting with us on our social media platforms as well, because we post frequent news bites, tips, and alerts to keep you informed and inspired. Now, let's get back to more overlooked headlines with Jeff Bass.
Now, it's time for His Lines, where we take a closer look at these headlines from a biblical perspective taken from the Bible, God's Word. This past weekend, in many parts of the U.S., we set our clocks ahead 1 hour in conjunction with daylight savings time. To remember this event, we used the term spring forward. And this got me to thinking about just as the winter gives way to spring, that we need to let go of the past season of struggles, past season of relationships, and much, much more in order to embrace the new season, spring, and that is about to happen. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19 reads, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." You see, holding on to the past and not embracing this new spring season can keep us from experiencing the fresh and new season and things that God wants to do in our lives. How can something new be placed in our hands or our lives if we're not willing to let go of what we currently have? I know we may feel as though we're going to lose by letting go of the past, but that's not the case at all. You'll be surprised and blessed by what lies ahead for you in this next season that you stepped into. So walk by faith, trust God, and embrace the newness. That's his lines. For Overlooked Headlines, I'm Jeff Bass, keeping you informed and inspired. Embrace the new and be blessed.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you've been informed and inspired. Like us, tell a friend, and connect with us via Facebook, YouTube, or email us at neveroverlooked@gmail.com. That's neveroverlooked@gmail.com. Check us out next time on Overlooked Headlines with Jeff Bass.